Welcome, friends, and my name is Katie Slater. I'm with JesusWired, and today we're with Nate Parrish. Welcome, Nate.
Hey, what's up? I like your shirt.
Thank you. I'm a Star Wars fan. You're a Star Wars fan too.
I am. I just ashamedly just started watching The Mandalorian like a couple weeks ago.
Well, you're
I
just
know.
so
I well, you know what? There's so many like Disney's pumping out series like nobody's business. So like when you get behind, you feel like, can I even be a part of this anymore? It's too much. But
I understand that one.
but my son, he's four and a half, and he really likes Star Wars, so we started watching it and I love it. It's awesome.
Good. What season are you on?
We started I think we're like 4 episodes in on season 2.
Nice.
Yeah. So we really
Got,
like it. We're
got
big
a good
Grogu
couple.
fans.
Awesome. So when people think of you, some people might think, isn't he with Cutlass? Well, others might still think that, he was with Worth Dying For, wasn't he? And then others may be like, oh, I thought he was a solo artist.
Yeah.
So you've had like a long music career and it shows. Can you give us like a brief overview of what you've been doing and how you came to have a music career?
Yeah, I don't know how I came to have a music career. It's kind of crazy, but I I started playing in a band about 6 months after I got a guitar, started writing songs. And my first show was opening up for this band called Huntingtons, and they're like a Tooth and Nail. They were on Tooth and Nail. They're like a punk rock Ramones type of band, and I love them. So for that being my first show, I was like, wow, this is pretty easy, I guess. And then after the first show, the singer left and went to college, so the band ended. So then I was like, oh wow, this is really hard. Um, and then I got into a music internship at a church, and with the youth group, we started writing our own music. At that time, I don't have a heavy church background, and specifically worship music. I didn't understand it, and so when I started getting into worship music, I was like, well, why does it all sound like this? Like, there's no one like me that would listen to this, So we started writing our own music, and Worth Dying For was the band that came out of that. So I was the screamer in that band. I wrote a few of the songs. Really wanted to make it. If I had my way, it would have been a lot harder than we went. But um, dealing with record labels and things like that, like, oh, people aren't ready for that. But got away with a little bit. But so through that band, we started touring. Our first really big tour, bus tour, was with Cutlass, Thousand Foot Crutch. We shared a bus with KJ52 and Run Kid Run,
Nice.
Firefly, Pillar. It was huge. It was a huge tour. And I didn't really know any of those bands except for Run Kid Run. But I met James from Cutlass and we became friends. We just hit it off and we kept in contact over the years. And then I was doing worship stuff with my wife and we were putting out some music. And he said, hey, do you want to play guitar in Cutlass? He called me on the phone, which is weird. Like grown men don't call each other on the phone at all. So I knew it was something serious. So I was like, yeah, of course, dude. All right. Okay, we'll be in touch. And I hung up. I'm like, what did I just do? Like I had a job and stuff. I didn't even know if I could pull it off. I didn't know any of their songs, but I just, learned it over Skype or Zoom or whatever it was. And I had my first show was with Toby Mac. So there's like thousands of people there. It was crazy. Yeah. I'm like, I hope no one finds out I'm really terrible at guitar because I don't know how I got here. But yeah, I did Cutlass. That was 2015, so it'll be 10 years this summer.
Wow.
Seems nuts. And then the whole solo thing came from I realized back in 2019, like I've been in so many bands at this point, but I'm always in someone else's band. I'm either doing screams or I'm just playing their songs on guitar or worship. I'm like doing whoever wrote the worship song. So it's like, man, I need to like write my own music for myself. I need to be a little selfish. So I started writing. I set up a little studio in my house and starting writing just whatever I wanted to write. Whatever came out, I didn't think about labels or even if people liked it. I just want to make sure it's something that I loved. And yeah, the first single was Politicians and Celebrities. That was 2019. And I ended up putting out an album in 2020, not knowing that the world would catch on fire. And the album actually, looking back, was pretty timely for that. And yeah, put out another album in 2022. People seemed to like that and they were paying attention. And then I've been putting out music. I just put out a song 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I got here, but here I am.
And we'll touch base on the song a little bit.
Sure.
But has there been anything in with being in those bands that have helped prepare you to be a solo artist?
Oh yeah. Retrospect, you can look back and think, why was I in that band or what was the purpose? And it all makes sense now. Um, so being in Worth Dying For, that was like the first real band. I mean, we had labels and management. We were on a tour. So I learned how to all the, etiquette, tour etiquette and what it takes to be on the road and what it takes to record an album and put out an album and all the ins and outs of that. I ran merch and design merch for the band as well. So I carried that over to now I do all my own artwork and merch and everything. But so I picked that up when I was with Kingdom was another band I was in after Worth Dying For actually is another kind of like rock worship band. And in that band, I played bass because in Worth Dying For, halfway through our second album, they said, "Hey, we'd like you to switch to bass." I almost quit because I don't, guitar players out there, or someone says, I think you're better at bass." It's like, why don't you just kill me? Like that's just the worst thing you could say to a guitar player. So, but I had to learn bass, so I sat there and played bass for like 8 hours a day and tracked bass on the album. But because I was playing bass, I was able to join Kingdom, and we did some stuff. We played some shows. We did some traveling. So now I could play guitar and bass. And then when I was doing worship stuff with my wife, she's a vocalist. She's like an amazing vocalist. But when I started singing with her, it really helped me get comfortable with my own voice and kind of figure out, harmonies and recording stuff. So translating to now, I can essentially do all the things. I can record, I could do the harmonies, I could play guitar, bass, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it just has a way of if you're smart about it and you pay attention and make sure you pick up things along the way, they'll come in handy at some point.
Absolutely. So you're a Christian, as am I. Can you tell us more about your faith journey and what your faith means to you?
Yeah, I grew up in a good home. I don't know if I would say it was a Christian home, quote unquote. That means different things to different people. We didn't really go to church. My dad wasn't a believer until later, way later. But he always had a respect for it. But we didn't really go to church. My mom got kicked out of a lot of churches for speaking up. That's where I get the punk rock thing, I guess. But so it was a complicated relationship with church. But I did go to a Christian school. She worked really hard. They both did, so I could go to a Christian school, and I think that helped kind of give me that biblical background. But it wasn't until I graduated, I went to college, and I wanted to make sure that my faith was real to me and not just something I inherited or something because I'm American that's what I'm supposed to be. So in college, I took all the classes the opposite. I took philosophy, Eastern religion, all that kind of stuff. And I came out the other side like, yeah, this is true. And so, yeah, I've been a Christian since I would say, late teens, early 20s. Um, and yeah, it drives everything I do. Being a good father is imitating Christ. Being a good husband is imitating Christ. Caring for others, loving your enemies. That's all Jesus stuff. That's all stuff that I try to do. And um, yeah, I'm in ministry now, full-time ministry. I'm a pastor, which I never thought. I actually actively avoided that. I didn't want to be a pastor. Somehow, again, like music, here I am doing that. But yeah, it means everything. It's It's the foundation to literally everything I do, everything I am.
Amen. So I tend to ask this question a lot because I understand how crazy touring is. Can you give us like a crazy, funny tour story that you have?
Ooh, yes, I can. I think I've talked about it before, but I can give you the condensed version. We did a tour with Cutlass in Ukraine in 2016, and we were there in Ukraine and Western Europe for about 2 months. And somehow, I think it was like maybe a month in, I got this like back injury. I don't know to this day what happened. Um, but man, it was driving me nuts. I went to see like a massage person in whatever country I was in. Like I was trying all the things. And finally I was just like, man, I can't like I was playing shows and then like laying down and like crying afterwards because I didn't know,
Oh,
I just had to do the shows, right? I had
yeah.
to and so luckily we had this night where it rained and the
Hmm.
sound system, they were like, well, we have to be minimal with it. So we did an acoustic thing. Well, I just played guitar, but I was sitting down and we did like an acoustic thing. It was really, really cool because it was just kind of raining, and it was in Ukraine. These people actually were hearing the gospel for the first time, some of them.
Wow.
It was this really cool time. And it also gave me like a break. But on that break, right after that, we were traveling with a dentist. And he said, hey, I got a doctor is going to see you. I'm like, oh, cool. So he's like, a car's going to pick you up in like 20 minutes. Just go out back of the backstage. I don't know who this person is at all. I just,
Sketchy.
I mean, I don't even, he's not even speak English. Pulls up, looks at me. I look at him like, you're the guy? He's like, I get in the car. We go to a pharmacy. He buys like some drugs, something. Don't know what it is. I'm just like, whatever. Then we go to this neighborhood. We go to this dude's house because it's a Sunday. It's a nice house. Knock on the door. Guy opens and he's like, "Come on in." And doesn't he speak English? But he points to the wall, and there's this like little tiny card, and he goes, "Doctor." Like, oh, okay, we're good then because you have the little piece of paper on the wall. You're a doctor. Okay, good. This just shows you how desperate I am. Uh, and I go into this back room, just me and him, and he closes the doors, like this big wood sliding door. I'm like, oh no. And he motions to me to take my pants off. He's like, take your pants off. I was like, oh no, you misunderstood. It's my back. So it's up here in this region. And he's like, insists, take your pants off. I'm like, oh, bro. So I do it. And then he tells me to lay on his couch. I'm like, I'm gonna end up in the newspaper here. I'm gonna go missing. So I do that, and he gives me a shot in my butt. Can I say butt? He gave me a shot in my butt. And I'll tell you what, the next day we had a couple days off. I was feeling super good. Don't know what it was. But it got me through the rest of the tour. And when I got home, I saw a chiropractor every day for like a couple weeks, and I was back to normal. He told me, I mean, he's like, you have a rib out of place. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, your rib is out of place. Is that a thing?
Crazy.
So yeah. So anyways, we're good now. But that was a pretty interesting story. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had a few of those. We had another one. We in Ukraine. Ukraine had just gotten freedom of religion, and so when we were there, but the government there, different like there's different entities, and some of them kind of do their own thing. And so at one of the hotels, they called us in our room and said, "Stay in your room until we tell you you can come out." What? The police were downstairs, or it was like it sounds like Harry Potter, but it was like some sort of like religion, Department of Religion was downstairs, and they wanted to arrest us or John
What?
Mike. Yeah. And so the person at the front desk, stay in your room. And so we stayed up there. And then we were traveling with these guys, and somehow, they whatever they did, they left us alone. And I asked the guy the next day when we got to like we went to this place where we were just kind of taking a few days off. I was like, so what did you say to him? And he's like, I took care of it. And then we just looked at each other and there was silence. I was like, you took care of it? He's like, I took care of it. I'm like, okay, just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, no comment.
He took care of it. And we got to the airport when we were gonna go back to America. And he stood, he's like, I'm gonna watch you guys and make sure you get through. We may
That's
not.
scary.
He's like, yeah, they might come here. So that in that line, and you know when have you ever you've traveled, you've been to Germany. You know
Yeah.
when they're checking your passport,
Yes,
they take a long time.
they
They
do.
they look at it and they look at you, and you're like, you start to feel like you did something wrong. Like, oh man, am I not supposed to wear this shirt? I don't know. My hair's too long for this country. I don't know. Like I broke some sort of rule. And they just do that. They were doing that and it was so long that I was like, we're done. We're done. But
That's
yeah,
really scary.
it was a little scary. I didn't tell my wife until after I got back. I didn't want her to worry. But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was like that's probably the craziest story I've ever heard.
Oh, cool. Nice.
You mentioned Germany. That was going to be my next question. We both went to Loud and Proud together. Well, you were with Cutlass at the time, and I was a photographer. And so my question to you is, besides Ukraine and Germany, any other countries you've been, and what is like your favorite country you visited?
Hmm. One of my first international trips was Norway with Worth Dying For. We played a Christian little one-day festival in Norway with a band called Rock and Roll Worship Circus
Okay.
and I think some local stuff. But it was really cool. But it was interesting because our hotel was across the street from another hotel, and that hotel was having like a black metal festival. So I'm looking out the window and just like a sea of just people wearing all black. And I was like, oh, my people, they're they're like, what is that? Like, oh, that's like a Norwegian death metal festival. Like, sick. And on the opposite side of things, we were playing this like Christian music festival, and there were like banners up in the street and stuff like that. But Norway was so cool. I still think about the water in Norway. We were on a boat. We stayed in Norway, and they put us in this like I don't know if it was a lake or I guess it was a lakefront property. Sorry, it was water. It was a big body of water.
Okay.
And they're like, we're gonna take you to my grandma's house for dinner. Like, cool. So get in this boat. And we got this boat to go across the way to his grandma's house. And it was like the most peaceful, clear water. I could see like fish and different things like in the water. It was really cool. So that just really stuck in my brain of how beautiful Norway was and everything. And everything was so clean and the beds were small. I didn't really fit in the beds. But besides that, it was awesome.
Sounds like I need to go.
Yeah, you do. It's really cool.
So circling back from earlier, you just came out with a new single. It's called Small, and you also premiered a music video for it. Can you tell us more about like the meaning behind the song and the video?
Yeah. So the song, you know, the song kind of means different things to me depending on the day I'm finding. But when I wrote it, I was sitting in this room and my son was in the backyard, just playing in the mud, you know, no clothes on, just being a kid. And I was just playing the guitar part, and the lyrics came to me and the melody all came at the same time. And if you're a songwriter, you're like that's like a magical thing. That doesn't always happen. So
Mhm.
I grabbed my mic and I just recorded this like the vocals, and that's nothing changed about the melody when we recorded it. It was like done. But the song, just feeling like overwhelmed with the weight of the world and with our access to technology and the information, we know about everything that's going on everywhere. We know about every war. We know about every stupid thing some celebrity says. We know everything.
Yep.
And it becomes too much. You start to think that you are big like you're something, and I know all this stuff, right? But it becomes crushing, and the weight of life becomes crushing, the responsibilities of life, even just being a creative, or a songwriter, like expectations become crushing. And so that chorus of, I need a melody I can't ignore, I need a price tag I can't afford, I think I need to see a mountain, I really need to feel small again, was essentially like it's a metaphor for God. God's the mountain, and realizing, okay, I'm not in control here, and that's a good thing. I can't fix everything, I can't do all these things, but he can. And so it's like a recalibration of how small we actually are, um, in the grand scheme of things, and it's a good thing. It's good to be small. Yeah.
I
So
absolutely agree with that.
yeah.
How about the music video? Where did you come up with the idea for that?
I was listening to, so I do this thing, I'll get the masters back and I just listen to it when I'm riding my beach cruiser around like the neighborhood. I'll be thinking of, ideas of visually how I want to represent the song. And that idea came to me. I was in the car listening to the mix I got back from Josiah and just loving it. Like, man, it sounds so cool. So I was picturing in my mind was picturing like me uh in this like little city, and sort of like I would have these little tiny Nates and moving Nate throughout like the different buildings and different scenarios. And then having like a moon and clouds and like, basically in this like world. And I thought, man, this looks really cool in my head. How the heck am I going to actually do that? And I almost didn't because again, I was like, oh, it's too much. Like it's too much for me to do. And I was just like, no, we'll take it in chunks. So I was all the buildings you see in that, all the like the little airplanes, the clouds, I made all those by hand.
You did.
All of them, yeah. So every single building I painted, cut out the windows, put lights inside. They all have posters on them. If you watch the video, there's like little Easter eggs about they reference other songs of mine or other bands that I like. There's lyrics from the song like on the little billboards. So I
Wow.
made all that stuff. Like all the little Nates. I took a picture of myself doing whatever, cut it out, put it on cardboard, made a little stand for it, and I wanted it to be like real. I'm sitting on grass. It's like you can buy grass for like models. So that in the background there's like video of skies and storms. I made all that. Um, so yeah, so it took me a few months of doing that. And then my buddy Andrew, who I've done videos with, he's great. He has a friend, and his friend has access to a studio, and he said, "Hey, we can come use it for one day." It's like, let's roll. So we went to Los Angeles, shot it. I think I was there for 12, 13 hours. I
Wow.
sat cross-legged, like in that video. I'm just sitting there for like a couple hours, and we shot it all in one day. And so the concept was basically that idea of, you think you're big and you're controlling your life, and then, there's a part in the video where everything starts to like go crazy. Buildings are falling over and the wind's blowing, and it kind of puts me into a vortex. And then I come out the other side in the real world and see a mountain. I'm like, oh, there's like a sense of relief. Like, okay, I don't have to control everything.
I'm even more impressed. That is really cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
So is there anything else that we haven't mentioned that you want to talk about?
Sports. Let's talk about sports. Just
I know nothing about sports.
cool. Me neither. I used to be into sports when I was growing up. Basketball was life, but um, no, I've been working on music for this, released a couple singles last year. Um, yeah, I have an album. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. If I'm just gonna keep releasing singles or release an album. I'm just still. It's the cool thing about being independent. You sort of can just kind of do whatever you want. Um, but I've been working with Josiah Prince from Disciple. Yeah, yeah. That came about because I had done the previous two albums. I recorded it myself and then I had it mixed and mastered, but I didn't have like a outside producer. It was me self-producing essentially. And so felt like I had hit the ceiling with what I could do sonically, in this room, and that's my vocal booth, the closet right there. Um, so I felt like I'd hit the ceiling and I could really benefit from another perspective.
Mm.
And so James was like, well, why don't you ask Josiah? I was like, he's busy. He's doing a lot of stuff and he doesn't want to do this. But I asked him and he's like, yes, dude, please. So we've been working for 2 years on songs and it's been
Nice.
really, really cool. Josiah is, he's a great producer. He's, done a lot of really, popular songs and albums and stuff, but it's cool because he adds an element of polish onto the songs that I wouldn't. Like if you listen to Soul Surgery, there's no frills.
Mm.
Like it's guitar, bass, vocals. There's a saxophone on a couple songs, but there's no, it's just really punk rock straightforward. And this one I wanted to really expand and, you know, um, not just just because I did punk rock before, I love punk rock doesn't mean it has to sound a certain way.
Yeah.
I just want to write good songs. And so Josiah really helps with that, with even on Small, he does this thing on Small, and he sent me the mix back, and I was like, is he doing breaths in this? If you listen to it, he's going like there's a part, and at first I'm like, what? But then I was like, it's cool. I like it because it got my attention, right? That's what you want
Yep.
out of that. So he'll do stuff like that I wouldn't think of. And he's done some background vocals and harmonies and stuff. So it took a lot of weight off me because I could sing the melody and be like, hey, just come up with a cool harmony, do your thing. And whatever he does is rad. So it's been really cool. Actually, we played a show together a couple weeks ago. Um, he came to the Disciple came to Bakersfield and we did a show together, and I love playing with those guys. Yeah, my favorite band to tour with by far.
They are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
Well, thank you so much for this interview and talking with me. And I will be seeing you in June for Kingdom Come Festival.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, right
Yeah.
on.
So,
Cool.
um, yeah. So I will let you go, but thank
All
you
right.
so much.
You got it. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.